This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
All right. Be fans of teams, not political parties. Manny, how you doing, baby? Good morning.
Great. How are you? Good morning to you.
Good morning, sir. Just educating some folks out there. Anyway, educate us. What do we got new in the world of the Canes? What moves are we making here? What's going on with the football team this week?
Well, first of all, the football team is in their third day of practice, still not in full pads yet, but progressing to that, and they will get to that after spring break. They'll be off next week, so it's weird from a scheduling perspective. You come in for the first week, you work for a week basically without pads, and then next week you're off for spring break because of school. So they'll be gone for a week, but they'll be back the following.
And then you put the pads when they come right back. Is that what they're going to do?
That's the way it works. Yeah.
Oh, that's kind of odd, isn't it? It's kind of weird. Like you would just figure that they would work into pads like right off of that. You know what I'm saying? Right. Wow, that's interesting. And how break it down for us, because that's one thing that we need to get educated on. In the off season, how much time does Mario and his coaching staff have with these players, and how many hours or how many practices this off season? How is it?
Well, basically, I think they're allowed a certain amount of hours, and I don't know what the exact number is because it's evolved over the years. So I don't even know what the latest number is with all the NCAA changes. But essentially, you're allowed to meet with players. I don't think you're allowed to organize practices. That's what your strength and conditioning coaches are for. That's what your analysts and other people are for. But essentially, they can come in and meet and break down film and go over stuff. Coaches, I think, are allowed to watch workouts. But they're not allowed to participate in it. That's basically what the rule is. So, but the kids will get together, and Carson Beck, obviously he's not throwing yet, but he has been organizing get-togethers with receivers and running backs and offensive linemen and getting them together to make sure that they're ready to roll when he is, which I'm guessing, based on the calendar and when he had surgery, probably the end of April is when he'll starting to throw at the beginning of May, and he'll have all of that time leading up into camp into being able to work with his receivers.
Okay, that's interesting because not having your quarterback for a certain portion of the offseason, you'd wonder, but it looks like he'll be back soon enough that you'll have some time to work with him overall. Remember this stuff? I don't know how where players would work out on their own back in the day.
Right.
Does any of that shit ever go on anymore?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, all of these guys usually end up going to private coaches. That is what ends up happening. A lot of them will go down to Bomberitos and train down there, or train with, the offensive linemen will hook up with offensive line coaches and work on technique and specifics. Quarterbacks go back home to their quarterback coaches. So they'll spend all off season, the good ones anyway, the ones that really want to be good, the ones that want to be in the NFL. That's what they do. So yes, they won't be getting coached by Miami's coaches per se, but directly, but they will be working out and working on technique, etc. So yeah, I think all of that stuff still goes on, and you'll see it. You'll see it on their social media accounts. A lot of the guys will videotape themselves going through drills or working out or whatever. So, and plus they have their own, weight training regiments and everything else that they have to do at UM.
It's the off season again. I'm going to speak from ignorance here. I'm not sure. Like I asked you about the hours and all that kind of stuff. Do you know about all the any of the injuries or guys that aren't we know about the quarterback, but that's kind of been known already. Anything else important that's kind of missing? Is there anything that was shocking or surprising? Any injury that you didn't know about or something like that?
No, I mean, look, everybody ends up having surgery in the off season, and for the most part, I want to say this is a relatively new team. If you look at it, the amount of roster turnover, the amount of seniors, the amount of guys that went to the NFL, a lot of the guys that are premier players are gone already, pretty much for Miami. So this is sort of a fresh start. But the one transfer addition who I know is not out there, in terms of participating here early on in spring is CJ Daniels. And I think part of that is because he had something done after he left LSU. So he will eventually be in there, the veteran receiver with 30 career starts. He's the only other starting receiver on the roster besides JoJo Trader that's actually started a college game. So, but Daniels will be back, and he will be working with Carson Beck in the offseason and getting things rolling. But as far as participating right now, I have not seen him out there.
Are you shocked that Cam Ward is ahead of Shedeur Sanders?
No, because I think NFL teams are putting a priority more so on mobile quarterbacks than the traditional pocket passer, and that's always been the knock on Shedeur, is that he is not a more mobile, sort of weapon. Obviously he did a better job dealing with pressure. Cam Ward didn't really feel that much at Miami, and when he did, he was able to buy time. But Shedeur was kind of running for his life, dealing with pressure a lot at Colorado because they didn't have a great offensive line, and so
he took some hits.
Yeah,
he's a tough. By the way, he's mobile back there. He moves around. He can buy himself time. Now, he's a real pocket passer. He's just not a runner. I think he can run if he wanted to. He has athleticism, but he is a pure pocket passer.
And I think
he wants to make the play with his arm, and that's what I respect that a lot.
Listen, in the NFL, ultimately, you don't see quarterbacks taking off and running all the time. Their job is to find the receiver down the field and not play backyard football. So it is a different style. But ultimately, I think that's the difference right now. I think people saw what Cam Ward did to elevate Miami, and not that Shedeur isn't good, but I think they saw what he meant to Miami and how good he is in the locker room and what he meant to that organization. That I think right now that's probably one reason why people are projecting him ahead of Shedeur.
I'm standing by my. I'm going to say Shedeur is going to be the better quarterback out of the two. I still have to see Cam in a natural NFL offense where he's going to be pressured a lot.
Yeah,
and he will not have 8 seconds to throw the ball. And there was just too much of that. And the fact that there were times where he had plenty of time and he still made bad decisions. Those are things that scare me a little bit. I know the hype is there, and I know the talent is, oh my God, it's there. It's like he lacks nothing for the NFL, nothing whatsoever. He's got accuracy, he's got an arm, but his decision-making at times can be a little questionable, and that's where I need to see him in that structure in the NFL, whereas I know Shedeur can live in that structure because that's who he is, actually. You know what I mean? So I just kind of feel that he'll make a faster transition than Cam Ward will. We'll see.
We will see. It'll be interesting to see how both of them develop, but they're both going to be first round picks. They're both going to be guys that teams, bank their future on, and we'll see which one makes a better adjustment to the pro game.
And the other thing on the flip side of Cam, the bad thing for Miami is all the crazy shit he pulled off. Now we're expecting Carson Beck to be that guy. And that's going to be what a disappointment for Canes fans if they think, oh, well, we're paying this guy $1 million too, just like that. He must be the same thing. And I don't know if they've watched this kid. Right. He's not going to be able to do some of the shit that Cam did, bro.
Well, I think Mario is prepared for that in the sense of, and the same thing with Shannon Dawson, that they're going to run a different offense. This is not going to be, first of all, he doesn't have the same receivers. 7 of the 8 top receivers from a year ago are gone. So right off the bat, it's a different group that he's going to be throwing the football to. So right off the bat, you cannot put him in a situation to be the same gunslinger Cam is. But I will say this.
He's not a gunslinger. That's the thing.
Right.
That's not Carson Beck's game. It's not being a gunslinger. If you make him a gunslinger, you're going to get in trouble.
I think Miami's going to be a much more balanced approach. I think you're going to see more stuff off of play action, and you're going to see them run the football with Jordan Lyle and Mark Fletcher. Those guys can run the football. They've got offensive linemen that can block and create holes. So it'll be more of that approach. And in the end, though, I've told people this. When you think about the improvements Miami's made on defense, I think this is going to be a more balanced team, a better team than the one that we saw a year ago, where it was basically Cam Ward or die. Right, every single week. Does that mean the record will necessarily be better? I don't know. The schedule is certainly tougher. I know that.
Yeah. And by the way, do we know when's his what's it called, pro day?
I think, God, do I want to say the 24th was the pro day? I got to go back and look. One of Rosenhaus's guys told me the other day, and I forgot when the pro day is exactly. Miami, I don't know if they've announced that formally yet, but I think it's the 24th.
Okay. All right, because I would imagine that would be a big day for Cam, as shit, half the league is going to be there check it out and all that, because half the league needs a damn quarterback. So I would imagine that's going to be a freaking circus that day when he's got to throw. Don't forget, folks, Caneswear. Go visit our friends there at Caneswear. You can use our code BIG010. You can get anything and everything with the Canes logo on it. And, of course, InterMiami and Miami Dolphins, Miami Heat gear. They got all kinds of stuff there at Caneswear. Use our code BIG010. You will get 10% off. And if you order online over $99, you will get free shipping at caneswear.com.